Okay, please welcome the cons or the drones groups.
Hi, I'm Sunil Madiwala.
I'm Olivia Marshall.
And I'm Quinn Avery, and we're going to be talking about the cons of drones.
What are drones? Drones are also known as UAVs, which are unmanned aerial vehicles, and they are controlled by remote control by either members in the Navy, Air Force, or Army.
There are two main types of drones. One uses weapons that are armed with bombs and missiles, and one's used for surveillance purposes, which have a camera.
We believe Congress should not legalize the uses of drones in both military and domestic purposes.
Hi, I'm Emma Holcomb. I'm Olivia Bullard.
I'm Cam Terry.
And we have the pros of drones. Drones are defined by the United States Department of Defense as an unmanned aircraft or balloon that does not carry a human operator and is controlled by a remote control or pre-programming. Today, the United States has over 8,000 drones in use. Drones can be used for so much more than just military activities, but the first military drone strike done by the United States was on October 7th in 2001, and drones can be used for stopping terrorists, crop dusting, and they can help law enforcement agencies.
Texas, Virginia, Idaho, Montana, and Florida all have laws regulating drone use, although Idaho's laws are a bit more restricted. As you can see by this map, by the National Conference of State Legislatures, over half of the United States have either introduced or adopted legislations on unmanned aircraft systems. These legislations go against laws on surveillance of private property and gathering evidence. This means that anyone can be watched at any time, even in their own home, which goes against our privacy and freedom.
First thing many people think of when the topic of drones is brought up is the war on terrorism. The first ever drone strike was actually used in 1849 by the Habsburg Austrian Empire. They sent hundreds of pilotless balloons armed with bombs to the city of Venice in order to stop an upcoming rebellion. Nowadays, drones are normally used in the United States on a war on terrorism ever since the September 11th attacks. They're commonly used in Middle Eastern areas such as Pakistan, Afghanistan, Yemen, and Somalia. The graph up there shows the casualty rates in Pakistan specifically in the last 5 years, and it's gone down significantly. But in 2014, it had a rise of terrorists killed per strike, as the amount of civilians that died stayed low, which is further proving the accuracy of drones and how it's improving over the years.
Another con about drones is that they cause a lot of civilian deaths with no drone strikes that are ordered. The international maritime law says that any person not dealing with hostile forces or anti-governmental forces may not be killed by governmental weapons, with drones considering their mass impact have killed many innocent civilians over the past couple of years. Based on this graph by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, over 1,000 civilians have died in 2013 in drone strikes in Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia in 2013. Which most of these deaths coming from the unreliability of drone strikes due to factors such as weather. Overall, only 50% of drone strikes hit their target area, and when they don't, many innocent civilian lives are in danger, which is unnecessary.
Okay, so another use of drones is for crop dusting. The basic principle of crop dusting is you load a plane, or in this case a drone, with fertilizer, pesticides, nutrients, whatever you need for the plant, and you fly over the crop field and it just showers everything down on it so it can be absorbed into the plant. This can help increase harvest and later the profits for the farmer. So planes, you need a pilot. So that can cost extra money for the farmer, and also if the farmer is the pilot, extra time that he could be using tending to livestock or repairing anything that needs to be repaired. Also, planes require jet fuel, which is very expensive, and drones do not, which cuts down the cost extremely. And if you can tell by this chart, There's almost a half of the chart dedicated especially to the economic impact of agriculture, which is about $2 billion. You can see the other half is designated to the others. And all those are listed to the side with like wildfire mapping and observing the destruction of natural disasters. So the large amount dedicated especially to agriculture shows just how important drones are to agriculture.
There are a lot of legality issues concerning drones. Not only do drones violate the international humanitarian law, but they also violate our own Constitution. In the Fourth Amendment of our Constitution, it states that all people have the right to a fair trial, and no man is allowed to act as judge, jury, and executioner. By ordering these drone strikes on civilians or people not even in their fair trial, we are completely and blatantly ignoring that statement in our Constitution. The international humanitarian law also states that we are not allowed to take military action against people that we are not currently in war with. With our drone assassinations and destruction of people who are suspected of terrorism, not even known of it, we are blatantly ignoring that law as well.
Okay, so drones can be used to help law enforcement agencies in many different ways. One of the main ways that drones are used is on border patrol. So in Tijuana, Mexico, recently they have purchased 3 new surveillance drones that are equipped with cameras and night vision capabilities, which fly over the border at all times. These are used to make sure that no one is crossing the border illegally or smuggling anything illegal in. As you can see on my map above, this shows places in the United States that have applied for Federal Aviation Administration drone licenses. These places include Seattle, Washington, Houston, Texas, Arlington, Texas, Miami, Florida, Georgia Tech in Georgia, and the North Dakota National Guard. All of these places have applied for their drone licenses in the past 2 years. Many of them have already gained drone licenses. Drones can also be used to help find missing people or criminals on the run. Just last year, a little boy from England went missing in December, and it gets very cold in England at night. And they were worried that he was going to be missing the whole night because he left right after school and just went into the woods. They ended up using a drone flying over the wooded area by his school, and they found him at 5:30 before the temperature dropped to below 30 degrees.
All in all, with the spying on civilians, the civilian deaths, and the legality issues concerned with the uses of drones, we would advise our Congress not to legalize the use of drones in both domestic and military purposes.
While drones serve many purposes, such as purposes for agriculture, international safety, and local safety concerning law enforcement, drones also directly or indirectly impact many families. For example, if terrorism wasn't as under control as it is now by the United States government, the country that we live in might not be just as safe as it is today.
Questions for either side? Question over here.
They use fuel
Okay,
that
gotcha.
they use mainly diesel fuel, but that again is cheaper than jet fuel.
So I have 2 questions then. Are you talking about domestic drones that would be used like small drones, or are you talking about drone airplanes like military uses?
They'd be domestic drones.
Okay. The second thing is you mentioned that drones help reduce terrorism. How much or how many, what level of impact would you say that drone use specifically has reduced terrorism against the United States?
Well, it's arguably a lot more efficient than simply sending out a military crew to an area where terrorism impacts a certain environment, because that could be dangerous to the people working in the military. Whereas a drone strike is much more accurate and efficient and risks fewer lives.
Do you have any specific statistics?
For the cons, did you all say that drones are only used by the military? Okay.
Oh, another question over here.
You said that planes require jet fuel, which is expensive. What would fuel be?
That question was asked over there. It's diesel fuel, but I do not know the exact price.
Other questions?
Do having drones take away from like job occupations such as pilots?
It depends on what field you're trying to get into with pilots, but in some cases, yes, it would.
It can also add more jobs because you need people to fly the drones and fly planes.
Okay,
Sorry,
over
one question
on this side. Oh, all right.
Alright, I have a question for cons. How is dropping a bomb in drone any different from dropping a bomb in regular plane?
Well, one thing is that with drone strikes, they have a camera which can help target maybe some accuracy with attacking a militant member, but with a bomb, when you drop it anywhere around that area, it's basically destroyed.
Also, drones use artificial intelligence, human precision, and basically countering in for other factors that are available is always more precise.
I just had a question about the crop dusting. So would there be, in terms of using, because crop dusting is going to use chemicals, would there be legislation in terms of for licensing to be able to pilot a drone? Would there be regulation?
I don't know the actual procedure involved, but I feel like it probably would be, considering that you are dropping chemicals onto the ground.
Okay, time for a couple more, Tristan.
You said for legality issues that it went against the Constitution, but technically wouldn't, since they're not in the United States, wouldn't that be more of an immoral issue than a legality since they're not legally covered under the Constitution?
That's a good question. I have had, there's a couple reports, one of which an American citizen who was suspected but not convicted, who had absolutely no fair trial, was visiting in Iraq, and he was killed. He was specifically targeted for death by a drone strike without any cause, anything. They just killed him right off the spot. And so even then, it can still extend to other countries.
Here. Okay.
How can you be sure if they're just suspected with the ways that the government has certain information classified? Is there any way that you can prove that they were just suspected?
I cannot, but that's what the reports were released, and I'm afraid that I can't get any more information on that if it was classified.
One more.
So you were talking about one of your answers about human precision, how it'd be more precise than the computer, but arguably
Computers cannot factor in variables such as wind speed, cloud cover, and various militant movings unless you've specifically programmed them to. And if they're already in the air when this problems arise, then it's not possible.
then you're forgetting about the human pilots that are also behind it.
The human pilots can be taught to that, but some aren't trained specifically for those settings and specifications for that particular drone.
You're saying a pilot.
Okay, all right. This is not questions, this is turning into an argument. We're gonna call it there. Nice job all around. Good job, guys.